Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko, joined by Tariq Spence. How you doing, man?
Feeling good. Michigan moves on, so we'll wait and see what happens this weekend.
I know, you like the whole villain aspect of Michigan.
Unfinished business. I'll leave it there and then let you know.
Very good. Pat Duffy?
Yeah.
Amherst jersey?
Yeah, 99. Eric Bolton. 99, 2000.
Those are so pretty.
They don't make sweaters like they used to. And Eric Bolton, I love, right? A 9th-round pick who ends up playing like almost 700 games in the NHL, not only with Buffalo and the Rangers, not the Rangers. He was a Thrasher for like 7 years. Who doesn't love a Thrasher?
A Thrasher. Do you have a Thrasher uniform?
I do have a Thrasher sweater.
That is a silly
Very
question.
cool.
You know full well it's sitting there.
Well, I bet he doesn't have a Kansas City Scout jersey.
I have one of those.
You do? Really?
Don't
I bet you've never heard of the Kansas
He's
City
the one
Scouts.
that I don't bet a lot of games and I don't bet against his jersey. That's
Very good. Hey, I feel like it's relief not having the Bills play this week because it's so stressful watching them.
You know what? Watching that game against Philadelphia, I wasn't so much stressful. I was like, this can't happen again. But then again, it did. And this is not so much belaboring against, Pat Duffy or Bills fans. I'm seeing the same script over and over again. And it's being basically rewritten each time with the same results. So it leads me to believe this ain't about running the ball or passing the ball or whatever. There's something that is divine that is hurting the Buffalo Bills, not meant to make this happen.
Yeah, I'm 37 years old. I've been watching this my whole life. I could have told you that. You don't need the last 6 games to find out that. Where the hell have you been for that?
You kind of do, though.
What's that? What? No, I mean, look.
I mean, are they getting it? Because it's what you do. I mean, are they getting a little harder to defend?
No. I'll even say this. I feel more comfortable with this team after that Eagles game than I did before.
What?
And I'll explain why.
Please do.
That defense is doing things it should not be doing. Like, you do not understand how deep into the depth chart they are going against dominant teams, and they're finding ways to keep them in the game. That game was won. And everyone is hanging
it wasn't. It was lost.
No, it was won.
It was lost.
Here's why this is not on McDermott.
In fact,
I know that's why it's going that way. McDermott is not supposed to have to make that stop again in overtime. If Gabe Davis breaks the right way, that game is over. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
That's what play in every one of those games. It's like that.
100%.
I mean, that's how close these things have been.
Look, you got 4 bad losses, right? You have Denver, you have Philly, you have New York, and you have New England. I'll give it to you that the defense may have failed you against New England. 2 special teams play and an offensive bonehead keep you from winning those other 3 games.
3 quarters of that game in Philadelphia, I'm sitting there watching. Hurts, who looked hurt for 3 quarters, did not perform well. You're up by 10 at halftime. I'm loving everything that I'm seeing. It looks like Philly's about to fold the 10.
Sure.
And then they come alive in the last 15 minutes of that game, steal it from you, and when it went into overtime, I'm like, this can't happen again, and it did.
Okay, let me ask you a question, because the week before, Philly was down by 10 to the Chiefs, and they shut them out in the second half. Should we be talking about Andy Reid's job security? Should we be talking about what's going on with the Chiefs?
Well, I believe the Bills got a better chance against the Chiefs this year than they did last year in previous games. But to the point of the Philadelphia Eagles cannot die easily, you should have won that game.
Yes, I agree they should have won that game, but like we're walking around here talking like this team didn't represent the NFC in the Super Bowl last year, wasn't 8-1 walking into this game, wasn't at home and wasn't playing in a Super Bowl. Like everything is easy in a vacuum. When you start looking at the game in an objective way, I'm trying to find where McDermott made the mistake because the game was won.
Look ahead now. So the Bills are in a position where they might have to win out.
Yeah.
Maybe they can afford 1 loss. Do you still see this as a team that's in the playoffs this year?
See, I do, but here's what I have come to determine. To your point, there is not a team that the Bills cannot lose to, right? Every team in the NFL can beat the Bills right now. There is also not a team in the NFL the Bills can't beat, and that's what's remarkable about this team is I'm going to be in Kansas City for this Chiefs game. I'm going to Kansas City to Arrowhead for the first time. I have the utmost faith in this Bills team to go beat them. I have the utmost faith in them to beat Dallas at home. And then you look at the last 3, Miami, we have their number. Look, we're still at the point where the division is not out of the question with Miami's last 3 games being Dallas, Baltimore, and then the Bills head up.
Now, Kansas City, not the same team it has been before, but still tough. You're in Kansas City for that game. Dallas, everybody believes in Dallas. Everybody's now putting out Dak Prescott as MVP.
Do you see this as possible?
Possible, yeah, of course. I mean, I've seen teams like my Giants go on a run with a 500 team go all the way and win a Super Bowl. So, of course, but now we're looking at divine intervention here. You've got to win against Kansas City in Kansas City to renew the team again.
You've done that the last 2 seasons. And by the way, it wouldn't be
during the regular season, not when it counts. It counts now more than ever before.
You just told me the Chiefs are down. That's if they have to go see the Chiefs.
You should win the game.
Arrowhead in the playoffs at all. And you bring up divine intervention. No. If they win these games, It's just the universe getting back even because it's been nothing but the opposite of divine intervention all season long.
Good. We'll bring you Greg Connors next. We're making our picks here on the Rochester Press Box. Thanks for joining us. Just passing through. Life lessons from notable Rochesterians. People you may think you know. Don Elhart, Maggie Brooks, John Dady, and Stacy Pension. J. Mack and Soccer Sam. Fred Costello and Jake Zembeck. Along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Pucko. Available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it and thank you. Our NFL Pick segment in the Rochester Press Box, brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your trusted and dedicated workers' comp attorneys and official sponsor of the Buffalo Bills. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our pick segment is brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. We are joined by Greg Connors. Greg, you heard all the discussion. What do you got to add to this?
I'm so emotionally drained. I'm glad
From us or the Bills?
I'm glad the Bills aren't playing because of the emotional drain from last week and listening to Duffy's comments because it's just killing me.
Wait, because it was so brilliant? Is that what I'm confused?
Greg, the heart of the matter is what you think their chances are to win out if you think they need to, and whether or not you've still got a real shot at the playoffs here.
I do think they have a real shot at the playoffs, and I do think that team's got to regroup this week, the off week that they have, and they've got to gel as a team. And that defense, I know they're battered. In the end, they've got to make one or two of those stops at the end of a game because, as Duffy did say, and I do agree with, at the end of the game, if you got the ball, you usually win.
Is this bye coming at a good time?
I think it's coming at a great time. You get to reset and get ready for a big opponent the next week. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I mean, I know the schedule is what it is, but I'm really looking forward to the Dolphins game. That game, to me, I think they're paper champs. I don't really think they're that good.
Dolphins are garbage.
But it depends on where Buffalo is. Well, Tom, wait a minute. We got to get to that game first.
Okay.
It's going to be fun to see if the Dolphins can make that next leap and if Buffalo really is as low as we think they are.
So we're making picks. Since the Bills don't play, we're going to use the Eagles 49ers as sort of our cornerstone game. Start us off.
Yeah, I like San Francisco even with the 2.5. Look, that game against the Bills was a great game to watch. I walked away from that game against the Eagles. Granted, they're 9-1. Granted, they win that game. I wasn't as impressed by the Eagles as I thought I would be. Like you said, that Bills defense, which is depleted, was able to control that offense for a while. And yeah, they were able to make explosive plays. I don't think you do that on the 49ers defense. And I think the 49ers offense is too consistent to allow the Eagles to get those splash plays.
Yeah, geez, the Bills got 500 yards on that Philly defense too. Of all the four games we're discussing, it's like Buffalo had that one more under control than any of the other three.
And the 49ers offense is way more dangerous than the Bills offense is. I think it's going to be interesting that they're in their heads, though. 49ers are a little bit in the Eagles' heads going forward. I got to the 49ers.
Philly, 2.5 is the line. You got to give him on the road.
I do understand it, but Hurts doesn't look 100%, and you need him 100% in this game to win that game. So I go 49ers.
I'm with you. I just think San Francisco's a better team, and they're ready to kind of establish that. Greg, how do you see that game?
Yeah, I'm going with the 49ers. They got a couple extra days rest.
They can't win when we're all on them, right? 4-0, you can't do that.
Well, yeah, the geniuses we are.
And the Eagles came off of as a hard win against the Bills. Plus, Deebo Samuels is not Gabe Davis. He's going to run the right route, and the 49ers are going to win.
Was that clearly on Davis?
Well, yes. I'm seeing people make the argument for Josh Allen at this point based on other things. Look, I don't know. I wasn't in the huddle. Neither were you. Greg, what are you doing?
I heard the call.
Greg, we need a second game from you. What do you got?
I'm going to go with the Broncos. The Broncos are plus 3.5 over Houston, and there's just something about this Broncos team. They just find Houston. I said, didn't I? The Texans. I think they're going to win. I think the Broncos are going to pull it off.
Man, is that a playoff team? It's just like they're going to become the story of the year if this happens. Who's your second game?
We got Jets-Falcons. I think the Jets are a disaster. They're a disaster at this point. The defense is giving it up. Falcons, I think it's 3.5. Yeah, the Falcons.
And where is Aaron Rodgers? I thought he was coming back, though. I thought Aaron was going to come back and play.
I love this.
Tell me.
He's been full of crap the entire time.
I think I called it. I think you called it.
I think you both called it.
We've been saying it for years.
How are we arguing over this?
I don't know. Second game.
There is a tie right now for number 1, and I'm about to break it. I believe in the Houston Texans, and they will beat the Broncos and will come to an end. The Broncos are running well. I love C.J. Stroud. I've never seen an Ohio State quarterback perform as well as he has in his first year out.
I get the Lions bouncing back in New Orleans. I think 4.5 their favorite. I'll give those points. Greg, wrap it up for us.
I can't believe Tariq's going against the Big Blue on this.
No, there's got to be. They can't win it again, the Broncos. They can't do it again. Plus, I mean, Stroud has played very, very well. He's looking like the number 1 quarterback out of that draft.
He's looking solid. I do think the Broncos are going to squeak this one out. They got 3.5, right? They can still lose a game, but I can still beat Tariq on this.
Yeah, we'll see.
Buy it a good time for Buffalo, Greg?
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for them to kind of regroup, get some energy, get healthy. And then they've got a strong run here. They've got some great tests coming up, but I think they're going to do it, and I believe.
Thanks for joining us. Our picks brought to you by Connors of Ferris. Like it or not, is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
It's a holiday getaway, all from the inside of your car. Hello again, Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. You're going to love the show. Check it out now. Look for the Getaway Guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And the Rochester Press Box, just like covering from the Bills segment.
I know.
God, guys, that's intense.
It's a lot of
passion. Good thing. It's a good thing that they're off this week. Our Like It or Not segment is brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips. It's a game changer where no appointments are needed. You can stop by a Rochester location today. Tariq, like it or not, the legend that is becoming Tommy DeVito.
Now, here we go. We've got a backup of a backup quarterback, a kid literally 20 miles away from the stadium growing up. It is a great story. I love the story. Let the kid play. If we win games, we win games. I'm gonna kind of like to get a high draft pick, but okay, all right. Let's have fun with this for Christmas. Let this kid go out there and play. Let him go and do what he can for the rest of the season. We don't have any other quarterbacks. It's just the way it is. But let's be honest. At the end of the season, is he gonna be the number 1 quarterback come a fall? No.
They're gonna say, is this gonna last?
Yeah, it's just beautiful for now. Like, I would love a great, capable backup. I would love for him to get a chance on another NFL team. But let's be real. I mean, is this really gonna work? He's gonna have 4 or 5 great NFL games the rest of this year for us to really believe he's gonna be the starter.
I feel like this is the next Joshua Dobbs story.
Oh, well, no, that's a terrible thing to say about Joshua Dobbs.
Well,
like
no,
DeVito.
but it's not ending real well for him now. He kind of revert to the mean is the way.
Yeah, but I mean, was it ever looking great for DeVito? I mean, you look at the games he won, one of them was an absolute fluke. And look, I grew up in Gates, right? I'm cheering for every kid that wears a gold chain, a white tank top, and has a pompadour haircut. But no, man, like this is a Jeremy Lin situation. As soon as the season's over, you're never going to hear from him.
Their
again.
sports has about a month's shelf life of good stories. Let this be the good story. And in 2024, let's go find our quarterback.
Like it or not, we had a Black Friday NFL game. Are they about to take over that day too?
Yes, they are. And you know what? There was a remarkable story. I don't know if you guys heard this. Did you know that the federal government prevents the NFL from playing games on Fridays before a certain December date? Did you know this?
I did not.
The government?
The federal government, I believe it was the Kennedy administration, in an effort to protect high school and college football, mandated that the NFL cannot play games on days where high school, American, and college football can. The NFL got around it because by playing at 3 o'clock, they weren't going to be running into any college or high school football games. The game was going to be over by the time that all that stuff was going to kick off. So the NFL, after looking at these rules for years and years and years, found a loophole and will be able to do this every year by kicking off the game at 3 o'clock or before. Yeah, it was great. Was it not great?
Yeah, I mean, it was monumental in terms of the ratings. The Thanksgiving days, that one, the weekend, with as much football as they threw at us, I think it absolutely proved we can't get enough.
Well, I mean, and it's the Jets Dolphins. I understand the region up here and the two teams that you're playing and the fun of it all. It was just different. I sat there and actually watched the game, even though it was a terrible game. I really enjoyed watching it because it was on. I mean, I get your high school. How many high school teams are still playing football right now?
Well, if we are here, I'm sure they're playing more down south.
Yeah, and I think Jersey goes late too.
We have the States, right, still. So how jet-like was it with that 100-yard Hail Mary return?
Oh my God. Me and my brother and I were watching that game in my basement, and like the laughter that started when we picked it off, like every 5 yards, the howling got deeper and deeper until both of us were on the floor of my basement with tears at our face that he just ran that ball back 101 yards.
What a moment. Our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Sport Clips. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Time for Unfinished Business, and Pat starts us.
We really got to close this transfer portal because college football players are taking advantage of a system and making money in a certain way. By the way, did you see 2 weeks ago, Texas A&M fired Jimbo Fisher? You know what he's going to get paid to not coach at Texas A&M? $77 million. Let me say that again. An institution that has argued they cannot afford to pay college athletes for making their school $77 million for which they can pay their coach to not coach is paying him $77 million. We're doing that dance now, right? Where head coaches of mid-major college football teams are now making the jump to what? The Power 5, Power 6, Power 17, whatever the heck is left now. How do you, with a straight face, running a collegiate institution or a collegiate sports group, say, we don't have the money, and these kids moving around are ruining the sport? Meanwhile, with these coaches going absolutely everywhere, leaving kids whose commitments they took in their wake, sitting in their parents' living room, promising them that they would put their arms around their kids and raise them into young men, bail on them without so much as a meeting to say goodbye. The hypocrisy is sickening, and we know they see it. So for goodness sake, anybody left that doesn't work for a college arguing these kids don't deserve to move where they want, when they want, or make the money that they're earning for the NCAA is just blind.
College football, you have finally done it. You have learned from other professional sports teams. Every great story must have a villain. Michigan was that villain before the big game against Ohio State. And what did they do? Basically rise to the moment, win the game, and beat Ohio State. Now, of course, I don't know what's going to happen between Michigan and Iowa. Who really cares? It doesn't even matter. I don't even know if Michigan can sustain the ability of winning games without their head coach being there for the rest of the national championship if they go into that run. But I will tell you this, they've done a fantastic job marketing, just like the Houston Astros, just like the New England Patriots, of putting a villain in the middle of their story to have someone root for or against that villain, depending on where they're from. Smart move, college football. You need more villains in order to praise the heroes.
Call watching the Buffalo Bills play week to week whatever you want. It certainly has been difficult. To review, Week 1, Buffalo loses to the Jets on an overtime punt return for a touchdown. The Bills led by 10 at the half. Week 7, Buffalo surrenders a 75-yard drive and loses to New England after Josh Allen gave the Bills a lead with 1:58 left. Week 10, Denver drives 55 yards for a game-winning field goal after Josh Allen gives the Bills a lead with 1:55 left. Week 12, Philadelphia beats Buffalo in overtime, tying the game on a 57-yard field goal in the rain at the end of regulation after Josh Allen gave the Bills a lead with 1:52 left. In all, the Bills outgained their opponent in 3 of those 4 games, held a time of possession lead in 3 of those 4 games, blew leads in all of them, and 3 of the 4 in the last 2 minutes. It went from bad to worse to whatever There is no denying that. Just ask former offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. As much fun as it is to detail all of this, it points to an inconvenient truth that was amplified on Monday night when Chicago beat Minnesota 12-10, a game that the Bears won despite scoring 0 touchdowns, despite being handed 4 turnovers. It was horrible. Say whatever you want about the Buffalo Bills, they're not horrible. We used to be the Bears, remember? The bad old days, 16-year playoff drought. You'd come away from the stadium drunk and angry instead of just drunk.
Yeah.
I think it's important to consider all of that before we wash our hands of this team. Since we can't, apparently, have it all, I'll take what we've got. That's our unfinished business, and that is our program. I'm glad we have a week off from this.
No, I learned a lot about Detroit Tigers and their curse. Do the Bills have a curse? Do you know, Bill or Pat?
I mean, the only Chris,
Nothing official, I don't think.
Cookie Gilchrist, maybe. Google it. Take your time. Salt pepper there. I don't know.
The longer we go, that 13 seconds is going to loom bigger and bigger and
But
bigger.
even before that, Norwood, and I mean, all the other things. Oh,
For
I'm
God's
sorry. I'm
sakes,
sorry.
man.
It is a bye week. We shouldn't do that, though.
That's the problem. There's too many to have a curse. It's like piling on.
I'm done talking
Hey, thanks for
over you.
joining us here in the Rochester Press Box, and we'll see you again next week.
It's like, think of all your pain and tell me where it's.
Oh, God damn.